Okay.
Every day, it's a getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like this will surely come my way. A hey, a hey, hey, hey. Okay, so I am recalling an in-between / dream experience that I had last night. I was laying in bed and was levitating out of bed. And at first I didn't know what was going on. And then I remembered that I said earlier before I fell asleep that I wanted to remember more of my dream or more of my experiences going on ship with different beings. And they started to, I could feel another consciousness, like a female consciousness, communicating with me indirectly. So they weren't really talking, but I could feel them. And maybe it was Sheila. And they started to take me up towards the ceiling and then through the wall. And I could see, I think at that time, the port of the ship. I couldn't see the whole ship, but I could see this little port that you go through. It wasn't like a hole. It was I don't know, it looked like a square. It was kind of black, slightly indented, and then it had a little square in the middle, slightly outdented, and some designing. But anyway, so I saw that briefly, and then it kind of reset, and I went backward, like went back down in, and I don't remember what they said, but they had to kind of switch reality or switch timelines or something and kind of restart it. So we did it again. They brought me up and out, and again I said, yes, I want to remember the experience. So I kind of kept saying that so that my mind would keep on track, because they said, you don't have to, and you might not. So I said, yes, I want to remember. So then they took me to the end of the bed, up and through the wall, and then I'm at the port again and go through the port, in which you can see the many layers of the ship as you go in, and you can really feel the intensity of the energy created in that space. And going through it, and then brought through this immediately after into this square kind of hallway thing. I wasn't standing, I was still just floating, just felt like a mass floating, whether it was just my consciousness being transferred into the ship or what. I don't know. But I could look around and see the live material of the ship. You could feel that it was alive. It was different than the outer, other layers that I had seen. It was one of the layers I had seen coming in, but it had other crystal layers for different purpose. But this inner part was made, so it felt very much that I was seeing the inner crystalline live being of the ship. And it was all dark around, kind of dark gray, and the material was clear, speckled with stuff, and I wasn't there very long, and going right along, and then I go through this space that feels like a wall, and now I'm in the ship, but my mind translates it to look like a house, which was fine. There was nothing really in the house. I think I was first in, it doesn't really matter, but in something that looked like a living room or an upstairs room, but there was nothing there. And it was a very cozy home feeling, like you could feel, oh, a family lives here and they're very kind and friendly. And I'm guided throughout the house. They kind of just said, go explore, you're free, you can go explore. And I was like, wow, okay. So I go, but there wasn't really anything to see. It was kind of just an empty house. There were a few things, but it's not like I could see any detailed ship-looking things. I'm sure I did see it, so maybe one day I'll see it for, what it was. But then eventually they're guiding me through. And as I'm moving, I could, if I wanted to. You didn't really feel the sensation of walking, but you knew you were moving. And if I wanted to, I could bring in more of this tingly sensation of what our legs feel like to walk. And they made it very clear to me that that is an option. It's optional and you don't have to. And it kind of, not that it took more energy to do that, but it kind of does. You have to bring in, and it's not something that's really done there. They're not probably very aware of the sensations, the individual muscles and cells all moving, but maybe in a different way. And they're kind of guiding me through the ship. And then, so I think I started upstairs. I don't really remember, but eventually I was in a type of larger hallway. I think I must have gone downstairs and was in this kind of hallway. And I didn't really know where to go or what to do. But I just, kept moving. And then they said, okay, we want you to go visit this little room. And so I go to this room, and it's got a hybrid child sleeping in a bed. It looks like a bunk bed. And I'm like, oh, is this mine? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I go over there and to say hello, really gentle. They're like, they might not like if you're touching them or waking them up, but you can go say hi and feel free to investigate if you want to check it out. Check out the experience. And so I went over there, and they looked like a really cute, small, another translation, a really cute, small, unless this is what they like to look like, and maybe they shapeshift into this form. I don't know. But like a cat, but not quite the same. Maybe like smaller ears, smaller nose. So maybe they were a Lyran, had a lot of Lyran energy. But they were sleeping. They were out of it. And if I was in the body or consciousness of their mom, I didn't have all that information, but I don't know. But when I went to touch them, because they're soft, so I went to just really gently kind of, hi, not trying to wake them up, but they seemed very like, I'm sleeping, please don't wake me up, mom, kind of thing. Like, no, I've already given you the attention, go away. And so I just backed off and was watching them. And they were shifting a lot, moving around in the bed, and then I'm just kind of watching. And this all happened in a really short amount of time. And then I think I went to touch them again because they felt a lot lighter. And they were more awake, I think, more conscious in the body and kind of inviting. Like, hello. And they were looking, and then they looked up at me. And I went to put my hand around their head, and they completely started shifting form. Their eyes were getting much bigger. They were creating more of structured face. But it was interesting because it kind of stopped mid-transition, and so it didn't look quite finished. And that, again, could have just been my mind's translation of it not being quite the same. But they still had a lot of fur and more structure in their head, more prominent bonage, and really tiny, tiny nose, big eyes. And then I just left them be, and I felt, okay, bye. And I got up and I left, and I'm walking around other rooms. Again, there's like nothing in the rooms. All the walls were white. They had these wooden kind of paneling side up at the top. Boards, baseboards, but for the top. I'm walking. I eventually go to one far side room, and there's some technology on the ground. I think it cooked things because the body was hungry. I was hungry. And which I didn't, like, as I was moving through, I didn't know what that was. I didn't really know, but the body obviously kind of instinctively knew what to do, and I was just kind of going over there. And then I was paying attention to something else. There was a man that was there. There was also a younger girl, but maybe she was like a relative. I don't know. They were all family, so obviously I knew them, but they didn't pay too much attention to me. They were like in a regular day, you don't just stop and stare and say hello because you're in a body that's familiar and they recognize you. And I was paying attention to something else, but the body that I was in was getting food, little, like a really small amount, like an egg almost, or again, could have been a translation. And I'm eating it, and this man comes over and he's talking about something, and I asked him, well, what are you talking about? For clarification, he had opened something like a magazine or something, I don't know. And he's like, oh, something like this. We finally found the ship such and such. And on board was a such and such. And now I can't remember, but it was so clear and I could remember it for a long time, for dreams after, and now I just can't remember. And he's like, yeah, they're a type of being that has, and he was describing them, but I could also see the information he was sending me in my mind. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. And his love, I could feel his love and my love for, just sharing information about different species and being involved. And like I said, there was a younger girl. She was just around. We didn't talk or anything. She felt like a sister at some times, and other times felt like, I don't know. So I don't know who she was. But then I think after he explained that, I had moved away and then woke up. So nice to have that come in. Because I have had a lot of experiences on ship, but I can't always, it's not always relevant to bring it back. So I made it more relevant. Okay, so my other dreams these were more dreams, but they also were kind of feeling in between on my way there. I was more conscious of my way to these experiences. A few space battle, being on a spaceship, space station, and there being fighting battles. Because one of them was strangely calm battle. And there was a really big, tall robot, like square head, kind of blue features, tall, very benevolent feeling, not like just a neutral robot. They were very friendly. He was whipping someone's butt, but it was, like I said, really slow and gentle. It wasn't like crazy or chaotic, but there were people shooting lasers and different things, and I was like, oh, I was just trying to navigate. Well, that was pretty short. Another one was, I was walking through a ship. Felt very tall. I left a meeting room that had like a big conference table, and there were some people sitting in it. I had walked out of some room that went into that room and then left that room into hallways, and there was various people walking. I felt extremely tall. It must have just been either my consciousness was pushed out of the body and was kind of hovering above, or perhaps this person just makes themselves really, really big on board, or maybe it was a symbolistic of their status. I don't know. But I'm walking through, and I kept noting, wow, I feel really, really tall, because I was far above everyone's head, but I still had to like move around them because, you know, I was there. And someone's talking to me, guiding the body, probably with the consciousness of the body, to where I'm supposed to go. Okay, turn left here. Okay, turn right there. Okay, and eventually I reach a space, they're like, you're going to want to go to the end of the hall, and it doesn't look like there's going to be anything down there, but once you get down there, you can see a door that has another little area that has another room. And there's no way, obviously, that I would have known. And very few people, I'm sure they know about it, but I don't know, it felt strange. Like, just trust it and keep going. And so, like, you're going to find that little room and just go in there. Don't ask. And so I did, and I just showed up. And there was, like, a general or someone, like an important, that's just a translation, but some important man sitting at a desk who was talking to some military person, again, translating. He wasn't in military uniform, but, you know, you could feel it. And so he stopped his whole meeting with that guy, got him out and said, okay, are you ready for the something, something, something? There was this big broadcast, and there's this little thing that looks kind of like an iPad, and it's also got like a circular thing on it that is a camera, and it'll it could be holographic. It could project you holographically. I felt like really, really good 3D or something. And I was confused because it wasn't up at my face, but it was going to be a view of it up at my face.
So that's interesting, because I feel like that's been introduced and we're going to be having it in our reality in the future.
I'm sure.
I remember hearing about it, talking about it, I don't know where, but it's going to be, it's quite a...
It was an all-in-one broadcast little system, just like a flat
it always reminds me
iPad.
of something I saw in Star Wars, but I do remember talking about that it's coming through here, and we will be using it.
And so I looked down at the iPad. It's got a screen along with that little circular control and a few other, I think that was the only actual hardware control. The other controls were on the screen, like touch screen type. But there was I could see the broadcast. So once I moved on the screen, I could see myself. And I was a Black woman, and I think of average height, so I was not a super tall person, but I felt that as soon as I got into the office, the height and everything had changed to be that I was just right there. But anyway, I was to be doing some broadcast for some big speech. And I was like, you know, my consciousness, who has not prepared for this at all, I was like, all right. And I was still there, and he looked at me, he said, no. And then I just relaxed and I left. But then I kept coming in. It was really interesting.
Did he know that you were...
I'm sure he could feel it. I kept coming in. I don't know if they were different women or what, because they were different women on the screen. And they were all these women. Yeah, they must have been different women who were coming in to give a speech, I think. I'm not really sure.
Through the same person?
I don't know if it was the same person or not. It was the same position. And when I would look at the screen, and the energy complex, the personality, and their achievements were different. But what it was feeling like was these women were in different locations than I was. Like, it felt like some people were on the ground and I was up on the ship, but I really don't know. But anyway, so I could feel the speech was coming up for the first lady, so I, just naturally relaxed and left. And then I came back through, and it was the beginning of another lady's speech. And what I got, it doesn't really matter how or what was happening, but what I got was someone was, and interesting, at one point my head was really down to the screen, really in the screen. My consciousness was not back up in the head of the body. It was like somewhere where I could really, like the stomach or something, where I'm right there looking at the screen. And they said to me, like, we really want you to recognize all these female achievements that are happening above your planet right now. And it was just like 7 females, boom, 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 that had done these really fabulous, phenomenal things. And it felt very satisfying and very empowering to see that. But yeah, then after that I left.